Good morning, everybody. It's July 23rd, 2022. Okay, I'm just prepping the elbows. Here's the dormant part number. I had bought these AC Delco O-rings, and these go on the large fitting. It came with the black one. The dormant part came with the black one. Now, there's probably nothing wrong with the black one, but I just switched the black one out for the GM part. These are the original dormant ones also, the smaller ones. So these are ready to go in. Okay, first thing this morning, going to be taking the throttle body off of this intake plenum and moving it over to this intake plenum. 89 inch-pounds on each of the three nuts. Okay, here we go. 10 millimeter. Oh, a little hard to do this. Alright, I gotta put the phone down. But it's a 10 millimeter, three nuts. Three flanged nuts. Oh, looks like I'm unscrewing the whole stud. I don't want to unscrew the whole stud. Alright, I'll just unscrew the whole stud and then just take the nut off of it. But I'm not using these studs, I'm using the studs that are in the new one. See? Times 3. Okay, here's the old one. Just have to take the nuts off those studs. One came off, two stayed on. Here's the throttle body. It's a little dirty. We're going to clean that. I mean, that's par for the course. That's common. And here's the new one. Seems to have a better, more thicker gasket, I think. And on this one, on these two ports here, there's like no gasket. I don't know what happened to it. It's flat. That's not going to seal. Maybe that was part of the problem. Look at it. It's flat. Whereas this one, you could clearly see the two raised O-rings, unless they just get flat when you tighten them. I'm not sure. Look at her now. Look how beautiful that butterfly valve is. Nice and clean. And what you want to do is open it and get inside around the edges too. See? You want to get around here too, because that was all black. Beautiful. "7:40 a.m. current temperature." I think this reads a few degrees higher, but it's going to go up. Okay, minor setback. I had to go to the hardware store. I could not get this nut off. Even despite putting it in a vise. When I put it in the vise, the whole stud was still spinning. So I put it in the vise, and then underneath the vise, I used vise grips. But I still couldn't get it off. It probably had some kind of red Loctite on it. I'm not sure. But I got the other two off. So I went to the hardware store, and since I'm going to have to do the same job on my Buick LeSabre, I got plenty of nuts and washers here. 6 nuts, 6 washers. And I think the gentleman said they're 6mm. I'm not sure what thread they are, but 6mm. And I just cleaned the surface of this. It's nice now, nice and smooth. Had some gunk on it, so now it's nice and flat. Okay, I just transferred a few things over from the old intake, upper intake, the whole throttle body here, 89 inch-pounds, and I lubed up the springs. The other thing you got to transfer over, there's a PCV valve in here. You transfer that over. There's an O-ring on the PCV valve, and there's an O-ring on this fitting here. And then you just pop the sensor in. And there's the spring in there too, don't forget the spring. So PCV valve goes in first. It has a small O-ring on it. Then the spring. Then this fitting, this plastic fitting. It's like a 1/8 of a turn device. Oh, and make sure this connector faces forward. Very important. I mean, if you get it backwards, you could always flip it later. And the other thing is this vacuum line that goes to the brake booster. I left the covers on, little vinyl covers, just for now, but you just pop that in. That has an O-ring on it as well. So, small O-ring, big O-ring, a medium-sized O-ring. And your throttle body's on, 89 inch-pounds. Don't over-torque it. Make sure your gasket surfaces are nice and smooth. Okay, now I'm going to be changing the O-rings on the fuel injectors. I'm not going to show that. It's just 6 O-rings. Take the old ones off, put the new ones on. Very simple. And you could oil them. Put a little engine oil on them so they slip in nicely. Okay, the old O-rings are off. Now, I'm not going to use the ones that came with the ATP kit, which are these blue ones. I'm going to use the black ones that came with the Felpro kit. Just put a little oil on them so they go on easy, and they slip into the manifold easy too. Alright, all the O-rings are on. So that should slip right into the nice clean manifold when it's time for that to go on. So the next order of events will be lower intake gaskets, the side sealing pieces, and the RTV in the corners. Let's walk over here. Oh, getting hot out. Temperature check. Temperature check. Oh, almost 90. Almost 90. Okay. Got my bolts ready with the Loctite. So the order of events is going to be lay in the gaskets and put the RTV in the corners. Then I'm going to be installing this. One pass. I'm just going to do one pass at 89 inch-pounds. And then the second one at 134, which is 11 foot-pounds. And I'm going to, there's a certain torque sequence that you have to follow. So once the intake, lower intake is in, then this is going to go in with the new cooling elbows, because they get pushed. One of them goes into this thing, and the other one goes into near the water pump. The lower one goes near the water pump. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Text inward. Okay. See those two little nibs down there, those holes? That's where these two little nibs go in. Oh, there was a little piece of something. I gotta wipe that. Hold on. All right. That's beautiful. Okay. Let's do the front. There's the two little nibs. 1, 2. They go in the holes. Alrighty then. Okay. Let's turn around. Make sure holes are lined up. Beautiful. What a beautiful gasket. Just gonna press with a... There. Okay. Let's get the side pieces in. Okay, these appear to be symmetrical, so it doesn't matter which one you put on which side. And the maroon part goes inward. All right, I gotta put the camera down for this. This one's giving me a little bit of a hard time. Okay, the trick to these are to get these this wing part underneath and inside. I'll show you. There's the nibs. So you get this part underneath the head, like, okay. It fights you a little bit. And I'm going to put the camera down just to get this in. Well, here's what it's going to look like. Nice. Okay, there's the other side. I gotta get my... Looks like a mini rectangular swimming pool, doesn't it? For little people. Whee! Look. Whee! Cannonball! Okay, so these are in. Alright, that'll get pushed down. So I'm going to take the towel out and lay the intake in, and I need both hands for that. We'll be back. Stay tuned. Okay, when you're ready to put the intake manifold in, don't forget to spooge the 4 corners with the little RTV they gave you when you're ready to put the intake manifold in. If you're not ready, don't put the spooge in yet. Just clean up in here if you see any debris. This motor is beautiful. It's so clean. It's got a, over 100,000. I don't know, like 120, I think. Okay, the lower intake is in. It went pretty straightforward. Everything's torqued to 132 inch-pounds or 11 foot-pounds. It's actually pretty straightforward. The gaskets didn't move. They appear to be where they should be. Check the other side. Yeah, you can almost, you could see where the stuff, where is it? Oh, I can't. It's deep in there, but you can see where the RTV squeezed out of the corners down in there. So that's all set. Now I'm going to put in the, I'm not going to show this, I'm just going to put in the, well, I will show it. It's the bracket with the coolant elbows. That's next. Okay, so I basically dipped the coolant elbows in coolant because that's very good to lube them, and I stuck them into this bracket first, facing them towards the engine. There's the lower one, there's the upper one. So you just push them in simultaneously. Use a bolt to help you. The top bolt is easy just to get in, and then once you have the bolt in a little, you can drive the two coolant pipes home and then tighten the other two bolts. There's one underneath, way underneath there, see it? I call it low, middle, and top. No, top, middle, and bottom. So now I'm going to just hook up the coolant hoses and all the bracketry that I took off to get the intake manifold off before we go to the intake plenum. That's going to wait because I'm going to hook up the heater hoses. Then all the brackets. There wasn't many. Oh, I'll put the alternator on. I won't do the serpentine belt. So I'm going to do the alternator, the heater hoses. No, the heater hoses, then the alternator. Then the various bracketry that, you know, bolts to the intake. The lower intake. Oh, I have to do the EGR there. Come around, I'll show you. You just want to put this in before you, obviously before you put in the intake plenum, the upper plenum. Temperature in the shade right now. It's still morning. I'm going to go inside and get some air conditioning, cool off a little bit. Incidentally, here's my setup, my work area. I have this rolling cart here. Put the hardware in the bags. Upper intake and EGR. Brackets on lower intake. And the ones I used already. This cart is nice. It's on wheels. If it rains, I just wheel it in the garage. There's the fuel rail ready to go in. I have a shop vac, garbage pail, tools in the garage. This platform, helpful. Chair, little fan, and my coolant. And I also, when I want to sit and work on a table, I use this table here. This is ready to go. The intake plenum. So what am I doing now? Alternators in. The main alternator charging cable is connected. So is the regulator. Plug right there. I put this black bracket on, but I didn't tighten this nut yet till I see where it's going over there. So I'm going to do the lower intake manifold bracketry right now. Alright, I forgot to put in the temperature sending unit. Having trouble focusing here. Forgot to put in the temperature sensing unit. So I'm going to put that in now. That goes up in here. It's hard to see, but you can do it with the intake manifold on. I wanted to put it on before I put the intake on, but I forgot. Must be the heat. Okay, I had a casualty here. I broke my temperature sender, but that's okay. I ordered one. Be here tomorrow. I used the 13/16 when I should have used like a 3/4 or a 19 millimeter, and I guess it went on an angle and broke the plastic, or maybe the plastic was just brittle. I don't know, but that's okay. I'll take that out and I'll fix that tomorrow. We march on. I think it's a little warm out, though. This is reading about this is reading high, this thermometer, but it is like 92 out in the shade. So I put this bracket on right there. Okay, tighten that because you have to put that funny bracket. There's a bolt down there, that dirty one in the right bottom. Then there's this bolt here with the star in it. You can use a hex stub. And then there's that bolt for the bracket. So 3 bolts to hold in that bracket, and then you tighten up the alternator. I want to get this, you tighten up that top nut on the alternator. I want to get this intake on because I don't like leaving the engine exposed like this. Okay, moving right along. Okay, the intake went on. I didn't torque anything yet. All the bolts are in. So most of them are 8 millimeter, but the two stud nuts are 3/8. I just had to slide that under that bracket because I didn't really bend that bracket out like some people do. So I'll just leave that there. I'll be able to bend it. I'll be able to bend it if I have to. This thing was supposed to go out here, but I don't think I may have enough play in that. I'm not sure. I'll try to get that on the outside. If not, I'll just put it on the inside. That bracket there. So I'm going to go around 44 inch-pounds and then 89 inch-pounds for this. Okay, the upper intake is torqued down. Let me just show you the tools I used. This is a basic inch-pound torque wrench in kilogram centimeters, but I used the inch-pounds at 89. First 44, and then at 89. This is my 8 millimeter setup, 1/4 inch drive. Some extensions for the 8 millimeter. Then you have to go to there's 2 that are 3/8, the stud nut ones that I call them, the long ones, the one in the left bottom and the right top. So here's a 1/4 inch to 3/8 adapter, 3/8 extension with a 3/8 deep socket, and then you go back to you got to pop back on the 8 millimeter. So that's it, done. Now I have to hook up the throttle bracket, the throttle cables, and we'll see what else. A couple of nuts and bolts. Alright, the cables are back on. So, bolt here, and a bolt down there where my finger's touching to hold on this bracket. Just 2 bolts. And then for this black bracket coming off the intake manifold and this bracket coming off this metal pipe, I had to screw in this stud here and then screw on that nut. I used a little Loctite on it. So the next thing is I broke my temperature sensor down here, as you can see, so I'm not going to be starting this, so I'm going to leave this off for now. Don't need to connect that now. So I'm going to do the fuel rail now with the 4 nuts, and then the 2 fuel lines, the purge valve, and just connect everything electrically and just put everything back together. Oh, and also the very important, the radiator plug that goes back in. And this is the negative to the battery. So the radiator plug and the negative to the battery. I'm not ready to hook up the battery yet though. I don't want anyone starting this car until it has an oil change. Oh, and the 3 spark plug wires up here. 1, 2, 3. So like I said, just all the connectors. First the fuel rail. I got to push in all the injectors. Then the 4 nuts on these little studs. 1, 2, and then 2 in the back. Push in the fuel rail, connect the fuel lines, and connect the fuel injector harnesses. Connectors rather. Okay, bye. Alright, so what I did was I just lined up the studs with the holes. The back ones too. The fuel injectors are getting them poised. There we go. Okay, I didn't have the back ones poised. Now they're just pretty much ready to be pushed down. They're all ready to go. And pushed down, and then the 4 nuts. Beautiful. Okay, I pushed in the back 3 fuel injectors, and see the 3, they're poised, ready to get pushed in. And I'm just going to push them in nicely, and they go in nicely because I already greased them with oil. Bingo! And I'm just going to tighten these 4 nuts. Okay, thank you, helper. You could. Oh, and she's going to get a new serpentine belt too. Alright, everybody. I'm going to wrap up this video now. Not everything is done. Okay. I told you I broke the coolant sensor. That's coming tomorrow. That's just a lesson to use the right tool to put something in. I think the best for this thing would be one of those 12-point ratcheting closed end wrenches. That would be the best, I think, for something like that. So I just have to connect this. I put the radiator plug back in underneath the car. Oh, she's got a new serpentine belt. For the serpentine belt, guys, don't make it a project, okay? Here's what you do. You route everything, okay? Then you put a socket on here. So everything is routed except you don't have enough belt to get on the alternator, alright? Get a 3-foot breaker bar, have someone push it so this goes down, and then you just pop this on. It's so easy. I see so many people on the internet are confused with this, but it's really not that bad. I wasn't using a long enough breaker bar. So all you need is a socket here. I think it's a 15. 3-foot breaker bar. Even an 80-pound person could push this tensioner down with a 3-foot breaker bar. And then you just pop it on the alternator. Okay, so in summary, take your time. What took me really a long time was to clean everything. Clean, brush, clean, getting these right angle coolant pipes out, cleaning all the runners and the intake manifold. Just yesterday was a day of cleaning. It was ridiculous. Mostly cleaning the bolts for the intake manifold. So this is my connector for the cooling sender right there. Then here's my cooling pipe that goes on there. Lower my upper radiator hose here. And oh, I don't know if you guys noticed it. There's an access port right here. You can get to your plug right there. Then it's a hole. You can put a ratchet on it if you want, but don't over tighten it. There's a hole underneath, and there's an access port. Well, where is it? Oh no, it's down below. Oh, there's the hole. Yeah. Okay. Oh, see my fingers? There's the hole. And then you could just get through here. It's not hard to do. So I'm gonna wrap this up. All this car needs is a first I gotta put the sending unit back on, fill it with antifreeze, do the whole procedure, the antifreeze, and most importantly, oil change. Because when I took off the intake manifold, some coolant went into the oil. Not a lot, a few ounces, but you still have to do an oil change. So this was a big job for me. I don't do this every day. It took me 3 days. But GM, you know, I'm impressed with the design of this. They made it serviceable. They made this engine serviceable. And you really don't need a lot of special tools. A couple of ratchet sets, torque wrench. I mean, this is probably the last of the engines that's easy to work on, except for maybe a little 4-cylinder. But so that's about it. I'm gonna wrap this up. The 2000 Buick Park Avenue base model with the beautiful 3800 has the following as new: lower intake manifold gaskets. I used Felpro metal ones, and the end seals that come with the kit. I used the Felpro O-rings on the fuel injectors. It also has the metal cooling pipes made by Dorman. I did change the big O-ring only because I had a GM one. The rest I left as Dorman. What else is new? Oh, the upper intake plenum is new, and its gasket is new. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but that's about it. It's going to have new coolant and new oil, obviously. Oh, and the new serpentine belt. So she's going to run great after this. I'm excited. And hopefully we solve the coolant usage issue. She's got some new blood in her now, but this car had plenty of power and ran fine. The only thing that we had to do, every now and then, we noticed the coolant getting low. Don't ignore it. That's a sign. Okay, if you don't see any external leaks, or if you see a pooling of coolant up here, or if you see white smoke coming out of your tailpipe, fix it. It's worth it. It's a good car. You know, unless the thing has 9 million miles on it, but these cars last. Okay, thank you for watching, everybody. This was daunting. The last 3 days were like 90 degrees, but we did it. Okay, I can't even talk anymore. Okay, have a great night, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye.